Did you say
A collab?
Professor?
That's right.
Hello, and welcome back to Things No One Cares About, or perhaps more aptly in this case, things that people from one, two, or both fandoms hopefully will care about. So today I'm going to be joined by my friend Phillip. This is a video that we have been working on or planning for like 7 months? I don't know. It took a really long time to plan for and to set up and to do. But what we're going to be talking about is the Layton Ace Attorney crossover game. I'm really happy that he could join me because this was a game that I felt sort of ill-equipped to review because I haven't played all the Ace Attorney games. They're not like fully my cup of tea. And so I didn't think it would be fair to review them with that in mind. So perfect that I have my friend Phillip here. I'll let him introduce himself in a bit, but he has his own YouTube channel. Check it out, pglassplays. And we also did a video on his channel. Go check that out. But like I said, I'm really excited about this, so let's just get straight into it. Welcome to the stage, Phillip.
Okay, so this is my friend Phillip. We met in YouTube comments. So we both have like similar channels. That's kind of how we met. So Phillip, do you want to just kind of introduce yourself a little bit?
My channel is called pglassplays, which is, I don't think I've ever explained in a video, but it is, I made it when I was like 12 or 13 and I was making like Pokemon Nuzlocke videos for a YouTube channel. And so they're private and I've never showed anybody them, but I really like the idea of like, you know, I just started this channel like a couple years ago, revisiting and like keeping the really, it's a terrible name. It's so bad. It's very cringy, but I really like keeping that spirit of like me being 12 and like, you know, wanting to show everybody what I made.
I like that.
So I've got like little video essays. They're mostly like games. There's a couple, I think, anime, and then the ones that get the most traction are Ace Attorney. So I've become like mostly Ace Attorney oriented, as I think you're mostly Layton oriented.
We're sort of like yin and yang, I feel like.
Totally. So this is I think exactly like same size channel, same kind of vibe where like you make a bunch of stuff and Layton stuff is popular. I make a bunch of stuff and the Ace Attorney stuff is popular.
Yeah.
It's a nice, I think the crossover is appropriate.
Yeah. So guys, go check out Phillip's channel. Also, you know what? Give the rest of our videos a chance, guys. Even if it's not an Ace Attorney video.
Yeah.
Come on,
yeah.
guys, give it a chance. Can you guys watch my other videos?
Yeah.
Just
please.
click on it.
Yeah.
If you click off, that's fine.
Just click it. Yeah.
try
Just
it.
watch 2 seconds of it.
So we can just start with the premise. And I had a hard time like tying down the premise of this game, which is like,
yeah, right.
It like really sprawls because like at the very beginning you have like the car speeding and like with Estella in the car and like all that, and then I don't know if you would say that like the premise ends at the start of like the first Ace Attorney case. Yeah, it might end at the end of the first Ace Attorney case.
It's really tough because like I think the general like flow of the game is probably more Layton. Like this one is it feels more like a Layton thing where they go to a new city and go to a place and there's a big mystery and they're, you know, but I think like the witch trial part is great for Ace Attorney. I think having magic in Ace Attorney is a really like smart, fresh idea. Going from murders, which are like kind of stale after like 4 or 5 games, like there's only so many fingerprints and bloodstains and stuff that you can do before it's like, yeah, I get it. But so like having a new set of rules where like, yeah, there's magic and you just kind of have to like figure out how those rules work is really like, I think that's smart and nice and a really, really, I think the premise is perfect. I think it's not great all the way through, but the premise is really good.
Yeah, because I also feel like the first case, like the one on the ship with her.
Okay, I was trying to look up a picture of like the case, like from this case on the boat, the one with this chef, the beautiful Sicilian Italian representation, the chef of my people. Anyways, I was trying to Google it and I Googled Layton Wright ship, and you know what? This one was on me. I don't know how I didn't see this coming, but anyways.
it like kind of eases like Ace Attorney players like into it because like that feels a lot more like a normal Ace
Oh
Attorney
yeah.
case than like the other ones, obviously, where you're like in like medieval.
Yeah. None of the cases are super like fun or dynamic, or they're just a little bit stale. Like the first one's a little bit like, yeah, okay. That's probably the least fun I've ever had in an Ace Attorney case, was that first ship. I was like, yeah.
Yeah. I can definitely agree with that. The only other thing like I kind of don't understand about the premise, and this is like getting the tiniest bit into the ending, but like they do magic in London, but that
Yeah.
like doesn't make sense because the
They
spells
hadn't
don't
drank
work.
the water where you can
Yeah.
not see pure black.
Like, I don't understand. Also, like,
Yeah.
I don't know, like the whole car accident. Because like the car accident is like a normal car accident. The car like the statues come to life.
Yeah,
They're like
there's a
statues that come to
handprint of the
life.
car and
Yeah,
stuff.
and then like the
Yes.
car gets like launched into a tree, and it's like, okay, so
Yeah.
were there like the big machines that are also in Labyrinthia like doing that? And then
Yeah.
I don't know,
Right.
nobody saw like I don't know. I feel like they should have like maybe simplified it a little bit. I feel like the premise also kind of fits like the Layton universe because it presents like this puzzle of like magic that like seemingly has no solution.
Yeah.
Yeah, my only problem is like the fact that it doesn't really make sense.
I think if they cut the first case, like if the ship case did not exist, I thought the first case with witches, like on the path with the Ignace and all that, I think that's a nice first case because it's like pretty chill still, and it like fits thematically and stuff, and then you can move on and have a better second or third case somewhere in there.
They like use that ship case because like they needed an explanation for why like Phoenix and Maya get pulled into this, which like I respect that seems like a kind of difficult like challenge, but I feel like I don't know. I feel like it could have been a better way. So I guess for the premise, how would you rate it? Like on like the like A, B, C, D, F, or like S tier if it's like really great? Like how would you rate the premise? If you were like thinking about how it compares to like premises of other Ace Attorney games?
I think it's an A. I think it is about as good as you can do. I don't think it hits it as well as it should, but like just strictly like the idea of there's going to be an Ace Attorney case where all of the cases are oriented towards like crimes of magic. That's a great idea. I really think that is the best idea in any Ace Attorney game that I know of. And I think that, you know, again, it doesn't hit it perfectly, but I think the premise is great. I think the idea is really strong.
I don't know. This game's hard with characters because there's so many characters.
Yeah, there are
I feel like in terms of we'll start with the court case. Like, how well do you feel like the court characters are similar to like Ace Attorney like characters? Because I feel like Layton characters, there's like a sense of like Layton characters are all weird in a very like specific feeling kind of way, and I feel like Ace Attorney characters are like also weird in kind of a different way. Like, do you feel like the characters, especially the ones in court, like are weird in the same way of other Ace Attorney games? Like, how do you feel like they fit in?
I think they feel more Layton weird than Ace Attorney weird. Like Ace Attorney, normally there's like a gimmick or something, and there's like I don't know. They had the kind of like Layton weirdly shaped head. You know what I mean? Because you have a lot of witnesses at the same time, especially in the end with like the guards. Like you know, they're good for like one like pass by and you giggle at the guard who sneezes or whatever.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Oh, okay.
So like you don't really like in Ace Attorney you spend like a fucking hour talking to a dude who is like lying over and over. So you like you get a really good sense of like their posing and like they have a theme song and like you just get very locked into them where like I don't remember any of the witnesses very well. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Besides the oh man, now I'm blanking on his name, but the dude who like
Amir.
Yeah, Amir. Like
I love him though. He's actually my favorite character.
He's definitely like
game.
The most like
he's so
interesting
funny.
one.
I think it didn't make me laugh the first time I played it, or first like 2 or 3 times I played it.
You're not gonna get the song the first time you hear it. After the second and third time, you're gonna be like, "Whoa, what is this?"
But for some reason, this time, every time, it was like the case is like almost over, and then he's like in the crowd, and they're like, he's like, he lied. Now he's got something to say.
Yeah.
He comes down. And, oh man! Every single time, and everybody was groaning at him. I really did get a kick out of him being there.
I really liked Jean Grey or John.
Yeah.
But like, I do feel like something was like missing. Like he almost felt like he gave me kind of similar vibe to like Flora in the first like Layton game, where she's like just like really quiet, but then like you don't actually like get to know anything. Like you don't get her like personality until like the later
Right.
parts of the first trilogy. So I like wish there would have been more.
I wish they did more with her because like it seemed interesting, and I think if we got more about her, or like if the puzzle was better, or like that mystery about her, like why she did that was a little bit more coherent, then I think I would have
Yeah.
really been into it. But it just I really didn't buy it a lot. It just felt kind of, I don't know, it's tough.
It felt like a little like, I don't know, phoned in a little bit. Like I feel like they didn't do
Yeah.
as much character development. I feel like I also didn't really care about Espella or the storyteller or like Dark Law, which like that's like the emotional story, but I do not think it packed anywhere near the same punch character wise.
But like both games
like,
are great at that.
It's so
like I just like Layton kicks me in the ass all the time too, but like Ace Attorney has so much time to like set up, and like every time there's a murderer who like does something that is like tragic and they wish they didn't do, and you know, maybe they even like killed someone accidentally or like for a cause that is like reasonable, you feel really bad for them, and you get a really good sense of like who they are and what happened. And like even like in the kind of silly cases that aren't very good, like the dude in the wheelchair who cries at the end is like so there's so many that are just like so moving, and I just didn't feel particularly moved by anybody.
Yeah, because I feel like what the game, and I feel like I'll make this point in like other aspects of the game too, but like the main thing that I think this game is missing is like from the Ace Attorney perspective, like the investigation phase. Like I feel like there would have been a better way to like integrate that with like the Layton format, because I also feel like from the Layton standpoint, like what it's missing is like kind of that investigation phase of like constantly talking to people.
Yeah.
Because like I feel like you are rarely talking to characters. It's like only in court, and even then you're like not really talking to them. You're just like looking for discrepancies, so like you don't really actually have like the brain space to like pay attention to like who they are.
I think the reason that the courtroom witnesses are not as memorable as they should be is because there's 5 witnesses or 3 witnesses or 10 witnesses at a time. So it's like Birdley or Bardley, the bard in the alchemy case, like what was his deal? He just like sung. Everybody has like a gimmick that you can like, as the thing pans by, you can see him doing a little thing. But like there's like 2 witnesses that are like pretty memorable, and like most of them are not, unfortunately.
Yeah. I almost cared more about the story that happened right before and those characters. Like I wish we could have like met
Newton.
the alchemist.
Yeah,
and
yes.
Also, what I do not remember the importance of Carmine accidente. Like
yeah, true. I don't really know either. I think he was doing the same thing where like he was investigating and then he got caught and then deported or whatever. But like I really don't know. You're right. There is not a lot of
like I don't like, why was he so close with Espella? Like I don't remember. That's just the one thing, because I think that for me the most compelling character was actually, is his name Newton the
Newton
alchemist?
Belduke,
yeah him. And we don't.
I loved him.
He was like, you know, he's the one that I felt like really bad for, and like really like, oh my gosh, like And then for the characters, how would you rank this game?
D.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, not too high.
The same thing, yeah. Okay, so then next we'll talk about the puzzles / the trials, I guess, from the Ace Attorney perspective. And I guess here, like thinking about more like the difficulty of trials, or just like the general like gameplay aspect of the trials. Like, do you feel like this is on par with like the other Ace Attorney games?
No, it's a shame. I mean, I think really there's no trials. Maybe the most straightforward one that like feels the most like Ace Attorney was the one with the Ignace spell on the path, the first witch trial.
want no fuss and we don't want to hurt you, all right?
Yeah, we just want your money, that's all.
And you'll give it to us, won't you, without any fuss?
Because it's like not terribly complicated, but it also doesn't try anything that it misses. It's pretty straightforward. It introduces you to the multiple witnesses and the magic book, the grimoire, whatever, pretty well. The really good Ace Attorney cases, I have a good recollection of like, oh yeah, I remember this guy lied about this, and I remember that like Jack Hammer put on the suit to go talk to, and like you remember all that shit, but like I don't remember what happened on the ship, and I just played it. Like I can't remember what the mystery is. Like like what was there's something about a chocolate bar, but like I don't have it. I don't remember what the puzzle was.
No, the alchemy case is the one I remember the most, because I think the alchemy, if I'm remembering correctly, and again I just played it too, like I feel like that's the only one where you do kind of take breaks between. I don't know if you take breaks, but like you discover most of that information like when Layton is like there, because you're like kind of there for the event, which kind of substitutes for like the investigation part, because everything else is like you never even go to the path where this happens.
Right.
You don't like, you don't feel like you're discovering things, you're just like listening to it.
That's totally it. Yeah, you can only get so much evidence without walking through the court or the crime scene and like, oh okay, and like you put together the mystery and get 10 things that you're going to use in a couple hours. So like not being there ever and not being able to like investigate, it's how much evidence can they give you in court, and then try to like give you the pieces that you'll have to put together right after. So that's, I don't know, I was gonna say the biggest letdown was the last one. It's like what was the mystery? What happened even?
That's my biggest, like I feel like I can't answer what happened except for the one that Layton gets like turned to gold into, like the whole grail like part.
It wasn't me!
Huh? What the?
Even that, I feel like I have like a few of the events, but like I barely remember. And then like the one on the path, the first one in Labyrinthia. But besides that, I also feel like they tried to pack in too many court cases, which I can see why they like wanted to do that, because Ace Attorney games like have a fair few cases. But I think that was like a shift that they should have made, given that this is like a lot more like larger story based than other Ace Attorney games are. But like, I don't know, I just don't feel like they needed to be there.
Yeah, I think if they were done well, I'd be like, I'm so glad there's 4. I wish there was a 5th, but like you're saying, it when they're like not super memorable, it's really tough. The last case in an Ace Attorney game is supposed to be like the big finale. There's supposed to be a lot of evidence, and the mystery is like more complex than it has been. And like in every game, it does a really good job ramping and escalating into a big mystery at the end. Every last mystery, you remember the points that the killer did, and the like the little ways that like you got tricked and had to go back and figure stuff out. But this one is just like there was some footsteps, and like they cast this like I don't know what the puzzle was. It just felt very weird and silly.
I also felt like it fell in this weird space of like being too easy but also being too hard. And to be fair, like this is a critique. I don't even know if it's a critique. Maybe it's just like a me problem with like some of the other Ace Attorney games, where like a lot of times like the hardest part of, especially the earlier cases in like the game I played, Like, I have a problem of I know what the contradiction is, but like I don't know what to
Yeah.
play where. But I feel like
Right.
that happens so much more in this game. Like
Agreed. Yep.
I cheated so many times because I was like, well, I already
Yeah.
know what, like, I know what
Yeah,
happened.
yeah.
I've already put it together, and I really don't
Right.
feel like spending like
Yeah.
10 hours like
Right.
trying to just like click the right
Yeah.
thing and having to listen to everything again.
Yeah.
And same thing
I
with
did
like
use the hint a couple times. There's like a little, I used that one. That was nice.
yeah. That was a smart like
Yeah.
crossover, I feel like, of the two of them.
Mm-hmm.
But I also feel like the Dark Law reveal, like you can barely even call that a reveal.
Yeah.
Like, come on.
Oh
like,
yeah,
that's
with
supposed to
that
be
she was the girl in the picture. Yeah. Yeah, it was so wild.
like she's dressed the
I
exact
know.
same.
It's like the other purple-haired girl with the two things in her hair, and you're like, who is that? It's like she
Also,
looks familiar.
you know that she like it is
Mhm.
so incredibly obvious that she is the big witch, like kind of like
Yeah,
her
it's her
name is
voice. It's her
Darklaw. She's
voice.
like
Yeah.
evil. It's like the same
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah.
I just thought that was a little ridiculous because
Yeah.
at least from the Layton perspective, like the twists are, I mean, at times like too outlandish, where you go like, come on,
Yeah.
But usually it's like fairly surprising, and I
Yeah.
appreciate that. Or it feels like you had to work a little bit to figure it out. Like you can pat yourself on the back. But like this game, I was like, I mean, we definitely were supposed to know that earlier, like right?
Yeah.
We should have known that.
For sure. Yeah, they in Layton they also, because you have so much time to explore, they feed you little things, and
Yeah.
Layton goes, huh, and like you hear him be like, oh, that's interesting. And this one, it's
Yeah.
like, okay, you can't see pure black, like that was the reveal.
Yeah.
Like, okay, yeah, all right.
Yeah, exactly. Like, cool.
And I think this is the only one that Layton doesn't like be like, yeah, I knew it. Like normally he's like, he explains it at the end, but in this one he's like, oh, what?
Yeah.
Like he had no fucking clue.
Layton is just like, he's like not there for half the game.
Oh yeah.
I felt like these puzzles are, number one, the picker out rating is like way off. They're like inflation in the picker out market. I don't know what they're
Yeah.
like. It's like
Yeah.
any other game, it would be like a 20 picker out max, maybe even 15. It's like the easiest
Yeah.
puzzle. This game's like, this is 40, maybe
It's
even 60. I'm
tough.
like, it's really like,
There weren't that many tough puzzles here either, huh?
I don't
Like I
think
don't remember any being like really hard.
I think maybe there was, something like a sliding puzzle where it's like a physical thing you have to do. Like sometimes
Yeah.
I struggle with those, but there was nothing like that hard. Or usually like Layton games have like a few puzzles that are like trick question type, and I don't remember having that many.
Yeah, like word puzzles.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And also I think a lot of these like really heavily relied on like the 3D screen, or like relied on the aspect of just like physically moving something, which
Yes.
I like those, but
I'm
that's
not a
like
huge fan.
Layton-esque.
Like the maze puzzles, they just feel like, okay.
Because I feel like usually the role that those play in like other games is it's just like to break up the other puzzles so that you're not having, your brain gets a chance to like think in a different way.
Right.
If you're like mainly an Ace Attorney fan and you're not like used to Layton puzzles, like you could really get like bogged down. And there are some like, I remember playing through like the first like Layton trilogy, and I remember there were like a couple points of like the game stopping puzzles that are like checkpoints where like it took me like
Oh yeah.
months
Yeah.
before, like, because I didn't
Yeah,
have
yeah,
access to the internet to like
Oh yeah.
cheat. Like
Yeah. I had to get my mom to help me with a couple of those. Like really the I don't know if you remember the match puzzle with the dog where it's like turn two to make it. I could not get that one.
I mean, that's like evil. Like that's like
Yeah, it was tough.
evil.
But I think that dog one was like I feel like it was like you had to finish it to move on, and I was like
it was something like that. Yeah, I think it was like to get the game to move along. You and I are a fair bit older than some people who like are starting to play these games now, and not to be like kids these days, but like kids these days, they don't understand. Like if you didn't know the answer to a puzzle, like you're done.
You're
you
done.
have to
game over. Oh yeah.
come back when you've like your brain has aged a year and you've gotten a little smarter.
Yeah.
Like there's literally nothing else you can do.
Yeah. Also now I will finish all the puzzles in a game. Like I like to just like see and, try it. But like when I was a kid, I would be guessing like crazy, half pick rats. If it was a number puzzle, I was just running through numbers.
Running through all the numbers.
Oh man. If it was too hard, it would just guess.
Yeah. I remember like in the first game when you have to have a certain number of puzzles to like open up the wall to the tower. I remember like just absolutely like being like,
It's
please.
80. It's 80
Yeah.
fucking I think it's 80.
It's a lot.
It's
Yeah, and
ridiculous.
now when I'm playing them, I'm like 80. I have like
I have
60 extra
130,
puzzles
yeah.
at this point. Yeah, like, it's
Yeah.
fine.
Yeah.
Yeah. So how would you rank the trials?
It's tough. I really do think the multiple witness idea is incredible, and they use it later in the like the new Ace Attorney that just got ported, which and it like works perfectly there, and it's not really really good in this one, but it's still a really good idea. I like it. I like mixing it up so you're not staring at one dude for an hour is nice, and like I like the idea, you know what I mean, like to having enough people that it's varied and fun and engaging, but also it means that none of the witnesses get enough attention right now, I don't think. So it's tough. I think C plus maybe, because I like the ideas. I think the magic is great. I think most of the spells are pretty flexible and fun, and it's mostly fun figuring that stuff out. The puzzles are not great, and they're not super fun to play. And also it's just been done way better consistently. So it's really tough to give it a B. So probably C plus.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I think that's fair. I feel like I'm so harsh with the puzzle, like just the puzzles alone. I'm like F. Just like I like almost didn't even like have fun at all playing them. But I did think the trials were okay, and I agree. Like I think that I appreciate like the trying new things, and I did think that the hint coin was like a really smart integration point
for sure. I was gonna say they still convey information pretty well, and they still, it's like I know that it's the same people that made Ace Attorney that are doing this. It's just I've seen it way better, so it's tough for me to rank it very high. But it's still like the way they present information and stuff and get you to like breadcrumb you into solving puzzles is still great. It's just like, you know,
could be better. You know, my main complaint is that like a lot of this music is reused.
Yeah, all of it, I think, right, for Layton.
Yeah, I think so.
Just how much of the music is actually taken from other games. And in this portion with Phillip, I grossly overestimated. I said all the Layton songs, and that's not true. There is some distinction to be made though, because Phillip and I keep using these terms like Layton songs versus Ace Attorney songs, and it does get a little bit fuzzy because it's obviously a crossover game. But what I mean by that, and I'm pretty sure what he means by that as well, because we kind of talked a little bit about it, is where in the games that these songs appear. So the courtroom songs, those are Ace Attorney songs, and they are more, you know, similar to like Ace Attorney music. Layton songs, these are the songs that come from the like Layton sections of the game. Granted, there are sections that have, you know, Phoenix and Layton obviously, and so those songs are a little bit like more up for play. So in terms of the songs that came from the Layton sections, there are a lot of songs that are taken straight from other Layton games, and I'm going to be going through some of those right now. There are original songs that are more in these like crossover sections, I guess, that are original and not taken from other Layton games, and as far as I know, not taken from other Ace Attorney games, but those are kind of separate. So out of all of the Layton songs, which again is like a very nebulous like calculus, more than half of the Layton songs are taken straight from other Layton games. So that is 12 songs that I'm counting. Again, you can go listen to the soundtrack. This game has a really big soundtrack, so that is like a plus for the music. But anyways, back to these songs that are taken from other games. I just kind of want to say that my bone to pick with this is like entirely personal preference. I talked to other people who really like the fact that this game features songs that are basically straight from other Layton games. I don't. I'm really big into, you know, soundtracks. I like to listen to soundtracks a lot. And my own take on like soundtracks is that it should be unique in that, like, yes, musical themes and phrases should repeat, but you shouldn't be like completely repeating entire songs because each song is made for that moment. I think a great example of this is like Pirates of the Caribbean, and really anything that has like a great soundtrack. Pirates of the Caribbean, there are like themes that repeat, there are instruments that are obviously like used throughout that like give it that vibe. But I can listen to any song from that soundtrack because I listen to that soundtrack a lot, and I'll know exactly what scene it's from. I'll know exactly the like emotion it's trying to convey, and I love that. All Layton games up until this point have that same thing going on, to the point that when you're somebody who replays them a lot, and I'm somebody who I listen to the soundtracks a lot when I'm like doing homework or like, well, not homework anymore, but when I'm like working or whatever. And so then you play this game and you know, you're in this moment, you're trying to like immerse yourself, which Phillip and I will get into, but the atmosphere isn't like the most strong here, I don't think, in this series or in this game. And then all of a sudden a song comes on that is from another game, and now it doesn't feel unique at all, and it doesn't feel like, it feels like I'm in another game, or it feels like the game wants me to think that I'm in the other game. I don't know. I get it's a crossover, so these are all like, again, these are all like preferential decisions. I know a lot of people like really like that they made this choice. I just don't. It really took me out of the game and I didn't like it. So now we'll get into the actual songs. Again, there are, what did I say, 12? There are 12 songs that are taken from other Layton games. When I say taken from, I mean basically verbatim taken from. So it's the same sheet music essentially. The only difference is that there are different instruments, and in some of the songs they do make like what I think are fairly minor changes, either in the tempo or they do add in like a couple more things. But again, it's similar enough that when I played through the game, I was like, this is the exact song. Like I had to listen back for like the specific differences. So I'm not going to go through all 12 songs. I'm going to choose like a few examples, and I'm going to play segments from those songs. First from the original game it was in, and then from the Layton Wright crossover game, so that we can kind of just like talk about it. And also I'm just standing because I felt like it and because I wanted to show off this outfit that I made. So that's that. So first I'm gonna play Tension from Unwanted Future. I don't know why I'm standing also. Again, just go with it. Tension from Unwanted Future. And now I'll do, just go with the formatting. If I had a bigger budget, this would be a green screen or something. Just go with it. This is going to be Tension from the crossover. Again, I just feel like, I don't know what it is, I just feel like it's less quirky. It doesn't have the same like, like, it's, again, I feel like there's gonna be people in the comments saying they're different, which like, yeah, they obviously are, but like, again, I'm not trying to get like too much into like the music side of it, but like, I'm just trying to point out in very like commonplace terms of how I feel like the newer one is slightly different, but not different enough to avoid me making these comparisons, but like similar and different enough that I think that it's worse, if that makes sense. So that's the first one. Then here's Misgivings from Miracle Mask. Now here's Misgivings from the crossover. These two are like basically the same, just slightly different instruments, and again, I think it's worse. Now, the last one that I'll play is, to me personally, and this is very personal, the most egregious of this example, and the one that really, like, I put down the DS and was like, now they've gone too far. Because if you guys watch my other videos, then you know that my favorite game is Diabolical Box. I love this game so much, and one of my favorite parts is when you're going through the forest to get to the Herzen Manor. And That forest it's vampire creepy. It's vampire foggy, haunted kind of creepy. The forest in Phoenix Layton whatever crossover it's spooky, but it's like witch creepy. It's not the same. And it doesn't need to be the same. And it pisses me off that they're like, oh, well, it's a dark forest. So we'll just take the track from dark forest and we'll just put it here because it's just a dark forest. No, it's like, I texted Phillip when that happened. It was like, this is too much. So, and again, I think it's worse. I think it's worse. I think it's worse. I think the original Dark Forest is like one of my favorite tracks from all these games. And the new one, it's good. Of course it's good. It's the same like music, but it's worse. So here is Dark Forest from Diabolical Box. That was just part of it. I could listen to that song all day. So now we'll go to Dark Forest from the crossover. Again, obviously still gorgeous, still an amazing song, but that song's from Diabolical Box. It shouldn't be here. I'm sorry. So, again, I'm not going to go through every single one of these because, again, for the most part, they're the same songs. So, just how many of them? Again, 12. That's a lot of songs that we've already heard, and it makes the atmosphere feel so much less unique, which, as Phillip and I talk about, like, I think that's already a problem that this game kind of has. I don't know. I just think it's lazy, and I'm sorry. But also let me know if I missed any songs or if I missed some from Ace Attorney. Phillip and I talk a little bit about the music from Ace Attorney, but if you guys, just let me know what your take on this is, because again, I know a lot of people probably will disagree with me on this point, but I just don't like it. And it especially upsets me because one, the Ace Attorney music is really, really good, and we're pretty sure it's like mostly original. And two, because the original Layton music is just so good. I want more of it. As far as the original music from this game, there are some original songs that are more of like the Layton side that I really, really like. I think the original Layton songs in this game are amazing. I think the reused Layton songs in this game are amazing because they were amazing the first time around. It's just, whatever, it made my point. But some of the original songs I really like. I really like The Hidden Garden, which I really thought was reused from Last Spectre. Just from the title alone, I was already like, this must be, and then I listened to it and I was like, I'm pretty sure this is. But I couldn't find it, so again, let me know if I'm wrong, but I really like that song. I really like The Buried Ruins, which again seems like it would be from Miracle Mask, like around the Akbadane ruins. I feel like these two songs are perfect examples of soundtracks that like recall old games without literally lifting it, unless if I've missed these. I really looked through and I didn't think that these were reused, just like verbatim. I really like Link. I think that like that's like a good one. I think that this is a good one too that like mixes Ace Attorney and Layton music really, really well. And of course, the theme to this game, I think the theme to this game is one of the best themes for all of the Layton games. It's just really, really good. So again, to sum up, I really love the music in this game, but it breaks my heart and offends my morals. That's a bit much, but I don't like that it's reused. So that's that. And again, just to reiterate, there are a lot of songs in this game. So like, I gotta give it props for that because like, that's really amazing. But that's all I had to say with the music because I had to come on here and defend my honor because I'd already been talking about this with some people. So that's my case. I rested.
Well, first we can start off by how do you like the theme of the game? Because I feel like this theme is like
perfect. It's the best.
Yeah, it's
it
like
is
10
the
out
best.
of 10.
Yeah.
But then how do you think the like Ace Attorney music fits in with other Ace Attorney?
It's actually good. It's really good, I think. I think Ace Attorney really got the long end of the stick because everything is pretty good and like it fits Ace Attorney well. So some of it like when it's appropriate, they remix old Ace Attorney songs and it's great. And then they also have a pretty varied amount of like new music that fits the setting pretty well. And it's like I think most of the Ace Attorney music is like really, really good.
Because it's just that's good to know, but it also just like makes me jealous.
Right? Because I know I want new Layton music too. Yeah.
Yeah. Like Layton music is like amazing. One of the best parts of the game.
And it would have fit so well here.
It would have fit so well. And I mean, I mentioned this to you earlier, but I was talking to some other people like in the like Layton community, and that's like they really liked how it was resourced. My gut reaction from playing the game is it was too similar. So part of me is like, I do want to know how similar it is, but also part of me is like, well, I mean, if it had the reaction of me being like, this is the exact same, then like functionally it kind of is the exact same. That's like my main gripe with it. So how would you rank the Ace Attorney music?
I think it's an A. I think it's really good. Like they remix old songs in a way that's like, it feels like flattering. And I'm like, oh, I love this song. And I think it would be grating if they were all the same, but it's super varied when it needs to be. It fits a setting well. It sounds like Ace Attorney, and it just like I don't know. I really like the music for the Ace side.
Like I did really like the Ace Attorney music. I also think that this is one of the best themes out of all the Layton games. It's so
it is really good.
It's so
really
good. It's like epic. It's I don't know. It's just perfect. Really, we've kind of been like shitting on the game a little bit, which like we both like it, but that's why I like this ranking system because it kind of breaks things down a bit more and like lets you add a bit more nuance. Which a lot of times I'm just like, well, I like a game, so that means it's good, and then I like don't really like know how to talk about it. But I feel like the atmosphere is like pretty good. Like I think it's one of like the best parts of the game. It's like very. I totally agree. I don't know, atmospheric. It's like kind of a roundabout way of like talking about it.
From Ace Attorney, I think it's fucking great. All the way through, I think it's great. And like you said, I should be nicer because I really do. Like you said, I like this game a lot, and I have played it a million times, and I'm super into it. And I think even though I like it worse than pretty much every Layton game and every Ace Attorney game, it's still like it's fun, and I can tell that it has like both of these. The DNA of both these things that I really like, and it's fun and it's sweet and it's heartfelt. But I think the atmosphere is great. I think it's especially with like the courtroom that you're in, like the weird little wooden area where they are all chanting to burn the witches and stuff. Great all the way through. I think when they do burn witches, it's like
that's how I feel. Like
I was like, yo, it's great. It feels good. I think the music is good for it. I think the like the spectators or whatever that are sitting up there are great. The like layout of the room and everything is really good. And then like for the last trial when they like open the fucking roof up and like you're under the moon and stuff. Oh, it feels great. It's really, really cool.
I also really like the Storyteller's Tower. I thought that was really good.
Totally. That does feel like a Layton, like that felt Laytonesque.
Yeah.
Where it's like, I wish the game had something like up here. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I feel like that is the one thing, and I think this is a similar critique I had to oh my gosh, Unwound Future,
Hmm.
where there's so many locations that there's not enough plot to where you like
Yeah,
the plot isn't spread out in like enough
right.
locations. Like you don't
Totally.
feel like, but I kind of felt like similarly about this game where like I really liked all of the places,
Hmm.
but I wish I had like gotten more out of them. Like I felt like
Totally.
that way about the bar
Yeah, the
or
fucking
like the
Rogues Tavern.
tavern.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. Like
Yeah,
I
yeah.
don't know. And same thing
Like
about the bread shop a little bit too.
yeah, I'm trying to think if it's all Layton games. I think definitely 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Maybe
Hmm.
not Azran, but most of them,
Yeah.
it's like you spend so much time in this place and you just like wind all
Yeah.
around back and forth and through it that like you get really familiar with
Hmm.
everything and you just like spend so much time going back and forth that like I could probably draw a picture of like what
Yeah.
Saint Mystere looks like because I know I've been in it so many fucking times.
Yeah.
But like I've no like Labyrinthia is like I couldn't tell you like what's
Yeah.
where and most screens probably I saw once and then
Yep.
because you can just click to go somewhere else I just
Yeah.
and then like transport it across. So
Yeah.
I've probably seen most of them like once.
No, that's a good point.
Like the library was cool, but like
Yeah.
how many I talked to Puzzlet or whatever the fuck her name was like
Yeah. Like
twice. You know what I
twice.
mean?
Yeah. The ruins. Like that's
Yeah.
sick. That is such a like I thought we were gonna spend more time there because I was like, oh my god, this is like where Layton's gonna shine. Like this
Totally,
is,
yeah.
and I mean he definitely did in a way. But also like I like vaguely I don't really remember how that tied
Yeah, what
in
even
to-
happened
I don't remember how
exactly?
that relates to like the
Yeah.
actual mystery, which
Like there was the big bell that was supposed to be down there and the water was kind of
yeah.
funky looking, but like
Yeah, that was like why was it like ancient?
yeah.
Like did they run this well I guess they did. I don't know. Like I don't know. I have
I
some
think there
questions
was
with
people that
that.
used to live there a long time ago that had the for
Oh.
somehow had the same thing happen to them where like I think I kind of get lost, but I think they had the same exact thing happen where they rung the bell and lit a fire
Yeah, I
and then
think
happened
you're right.
again. Yeah, I mean
Like
it did feel a little bit like yeah, is that that's what
yeah, like,
happened?
all
Yeah,
right,
okay.
okay, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
Also, one minor point, this is so minor. Why call it labyrinth? Like I feel like labyrinthia, it's not a
Yeah.
labyrinth. Like
No, it's not.
like you can't get out, which like I guess like okay, but like
Okay, yeah.
it should have been more maze like in my
Yeah,
opinion then.
agreed.
I
Yeah.
think that like it should have been named something more related to like a storybook with
Yeah.
like the whole storyteller thing.
Hmm.
But
I
that's
think
just my
also
2 cents.
like the layout of the city, the way the buildings looked and stuff was a little bit like plain for Layton, where like I
Yeah.
love where they have like weird like spiral things
Yeah.
and like a tower far away that like is really like imposing and you can see from everywhere. And
Yep.
it's like you get like in an alley and you like the perspective is like the buildings are way above you and
Yeah.
it's like there was nothing like that. It was
Nothing
pretty
like
like
that.
plain.
That's yeah, like we should have been able to see, I don't know, maybe the clock. Is it a clock tower? The tower
I don't know, storytellers
that
thing,
well, there's this. It could have been the storyteller's tower because I have no idea where the storyteller's tower is in relation
right?
to anything.
Yeah.
Like literally none.
Yeah.
Or it could have been the one tower that was like that got revealed. And
Oh
that's
yeah,
when,
yeah,
like, the
yeah.
alchemists- yeah.
Yes, yeah. Yeah, that's a great point. I mean, that's definitely like the most plot important place in the city,
Yeah.
and like
Yeah, it doesn't feel very Laytonesque. Like I feel like all Layton games are like have like a weird sense of like dark whimsy.
mhm,
And I think that they relied too much on just the fact that it was like medieval feeling and didn't give it like
right,
the whimsy. It weirdly felt like a worse version of Monte d'Or to me.
yeah,
So
like kind of flat, and
yeah,
but like Montedor was so like
it was so like
vibrant.
it was
Yeah,
like Vegas almost. Like I love Monte d'Or so
yeah.
much.
Like I can't really pull any places from Labyrinthia where I'm like, oh, remember, but there is the one place where it's like,
Yeah.
yeah, there's a circle in the middle of the town, and
Yeah.
I really don't remember it. It doesn't stand out very well to me.
Yeah. And I feel like the cutscenes didn't the cutscenes almost didn't look like they were happening in the same settings, if that
Yeah,
makes sense. Like
yeah,
the parade, I was like, where is
hmm
this in town?
yeah. Where exactly?
Like I felt like I just should like know
Yeah,
more. Because
hmm
like I really do love the atmosphere of this game. But
hmm
something I don't know, something's just like not fully clicking.
totally agree.
And I think it is like if we had more of like investigation, if like the investigating
Yeah,
felt more tied to the story, then it
hmm
would have like brought everything together.
yeah. It is. I felt like when we were investigating, it was like like fuck off and find a cat, which is like,
Yeah.
is that the best use of like?
Yeah,
We could be
exactly.
maybe
More
doing
time.
something better. Yeah, I don't know.
I think the best like investigation phase in terms of like exploring the atmosphere was when you go down below where like the witches get burned, and then that takes you into
Yeah.
the forest
Mhm.
part, and then you like
Mhm.
do all that. Like that
Yeah.
felt like it shined in terms of
Yeah,
like
totally.
atmosphere being tied, or
Mhm.
exploring the storyteller's tower. I feel like those were
Mhm.
like the 2 points that like the atmosphere and like the game play were
Yeah.
like actually won.
Yeah.
Does this feel like an Ace Attorney atmosphere?
Like I think Ace Attorney does a good job of, because like you're focused on investigating, it does a good
Mm-hmm.
job of like having settings that are like, again, I can remember a million Ace
Yeah.
Attorney frames where like you're at the caretaker shack, and I like remember what everything looks like because it's like kind of weird, or like
Yeah.
you have to be like paying attention because it's like related to the mystery, where like in
Yeah.
Labyrinthia it's just like not very well designed and not super engaging for a lot of
Yeah,
it.
there's not much like storytelling in terms of like just like what you're looking at for like
Mhm.
atmospheric storytelling,
Mhm.
which I think that there could have been such an opportunity for that. Again, tying back to the characters, like these are all people who had normal lives
Mhm.
and then like agreed to this like pretty non-ethical experiment and
Yeah,
then like
yeah.
went and did all that. And so like I feel like it would have been like cool if we started noticing like I don't know, places where like their old memories started to like leak through, and like I don't know,
Right.
like I feel like there were some really cool opportunities
Mhm.
for like
Or like
that
the
sort of like
machinery. Like there should be
that
machinery everywhere. It'd be
or
great
like
if
evidence of it, like maybe like
Mhm.
tracks or like
Yeah.
indents or something.
Yeah.
But
Mhm.
yeah, that I literally audibly laughed when they were like, "There's machine covered in black." I was like, "You
Is that right? Yeah.
okay? All
Yeah.
right." Like, how would you rank the atmosphere?
Um uh it's definitely way worse than everything Layton and everything Ace, I think. But maybe C minus, D plus.
I think the one Layton game that it could possibly be better than is The Last Spectre,
Okay.
just because like it's also kind of similarly boring.
Mhm.
So
I remember like some of the like waterworks though, at least. Like
yeah,
there's a couple
the
things that like stick
waterworks
out
and
better
like the
for me.
black market there are
Yeah,
cool.
the black
The
market was
black
so
market's like
cool.
epic.
Yeah.
Yeah, but like normal
Yeah.
party of the salary is like okay.
Yeah,
Like I've
it's
seen
definitely not as fun as other Layton games, but I think that one I still like. Where this one
yeah.
is just like, okay, I think C minus for me. It's not the
Yeah.
worst. I like the medieval parts.
Yeah, I think this one also made me a little bit bitter because at least with like Miss Salary, it was like it was boring. But this one, I was like, but you should be so cool, and like it is
Yeah.
cool. But it's like
Mhm.
I want to be allowed to like live in it a
Yeah.
bit more.
Totally.
You know, the courtroom is probably the best atmosphere. Like it is really like imposing. All the
Mhm.
angles, like everything's perfect with that. I think
Totally.
atmospherically. Oh wait, the
Yeah.
one other thing, it's the same judge from the other Ace Attorney games.
Yeah, it is.
That's so funny.
It's always the same judge. I think it's like a Nurse Joy thing where it's like they're different dudes, because like in another game it's like a blonde haired judge who looks the exact same, but
Yeah.
like I think they're all different, but they just kind of look like the same old fucking bastard. I
Yeah.
think they're supposed to be different, but I did like that, and I think he's got
It's
like a similar
it's so funny because like the judge, like that's kind of what my dad looks like. Like my dad's like the
Really?
bald, like a goatee.
Yeah.
But like, and my dad, he was like a lawyer, so like, but I mean, my
Uh-huh.
dad's not like fucking incompetent like the judge of this game always
Yeah.
is.
He's such a
But
buffoon.
it's like so funny because I was like, yo, this is just the same dude. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, I think somewhere in the C range is like fair. I think the courtroom alone would get like maybe S tier. Like I feel like it's
Yeah,
like an
I
S
totally
tier
agree.
courtroom. Because
Oh,
in
you're right.
Ace Attorney, it's like, are the newer games like set in a different time period? I know.
Yeah, they are. So okay,
Okay.
I maybe I'm bullshitting. I think I was thinking about the Layton part for C minus. I think Ace I would give an A plus or an
Okay.
S.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I think that's definitely fair. Okay, though actually the one other place I think is good and that we spend enough time in is again Newton or Belduke. Like
Yeah, agreed.
his that because that's a place where you
Yeah.
get the like atmospheric like
Mhm,
environmental
totally.
storytelling.
Like I love his little desk and all the things on his
Yeah.
walls and stuff. Yeah, that
And
place
then
is
like the
great.
basement area with like the
Mhm.
golden sheet. Like that's
Yeah.
like I remember it because
Totally.
you get to do things with it.
Mhm.
Yeah, I think that's fair ranking. Okay, so now we'll move into the ending. which is kind of similar to the premise in that like I almost don't know where like fully counts as like the ending.
Right.
And
Yeah.
the
I mean, it
other
just
thing,
goes on for so
it just
long.
goes on for so long. And the other thing I talk about usually in the ending is the pacing of the game in
Okay.
general.
Yeah.
Because, and I think that that's so important to talk about with this game.
Yeah.
I mean, we've talked a little bit about how like the not being able to see black thing comes out of nowhere and how the
Yeah.
ending feels
Jeez.
like a little lackluster or like not really shocking or anything
Mhm.
like that. And I know outside of like offline, we've talked about like how the pacing is like it is cruel. They call the chapters like the final blah
Yeah,
blah
I
blah, and then
know.
it's
Oh my
not like
God. It's like 8 more chapters to go. It's so tiring.
it's so exhausting.
I think the ending is among the worst parts
Yeah.
of the game. I think it is kind of weak for both. Ace Attorney, I don't think you need. It doesn't all have to be tied together in one coherent mystery like Layton. So you could just
Mhm.
have one good court case at the end that maybe is like thematically similar or like has a
Yeah.
character or two in common.
Yeah.
But man, it's I don't know. Ace Attorney doesn't have to even spend that much time drawing things together and wrapping it up with a bow until like the last little 2 minutes of dialogue after the last case.
Yeah.
But even still, it's like, oof, I don't know. It drags on for so long. The last case is not very good for Ace Attorney.
Mhm.
And then I think for Layton, it's pretty rough too. I don't think there's any Layton mysteries that shallowly is this one or
Poorly.
like
Yeah.
it just was like it really seems like they had this idea and then tried at the end to be like, okay, well, fuck, what could possibly what could make
Yeah.
sense for that, and it doesn't really work. I don't know.
I feel like they just didn't have a they didn't have a clear idea of like the holistic mystery,
Hmm.
or they lost the thread. Because, and I think the pacing comes into this because I I think I texted you when I finished because I was like, dude, I don't even remember what the fuck I was
Yeah.
doing here in the first
Hmm.
place. Like I don't even remember what the point was.
Yeah.
I mean, we talked about how the ending explanation causes some like issues.
Hmm.
Another thing that we haven't we haven't talked about like earlier in the premise is it doesn't. I still don't really understand why Phoenix like needed to be there. Like, I don't think the game does a good job of answering
Yeah.
why the storyteller and everybody else like let them into the town. Like, the storyteller kind of says it for Layton that he wanted to end the story, and so he was like going to use
Yeah.
Layton to do that, and then like the story kind of gets hijacked by like Dark Law, I guess. I don't know. That
Yeah,
story's,
I
like,
think
kind of
Dark Law.
bad.
Okay, it's really fuzzy for me, but I played it like more
And we both
recently.
just replayed
Yeah.
it. Yeah.
I think
That's
Dark
fuzzy.
Law brought in Layton to fuck with the storyteller, and Phoenix made it by accident. But I don't know how that's possible.
But that's the thing. Like, somebody had to like just kick them out. Like,
Yeah.
just drop them back in
Hmm.
like on the outskirts
Yeah,
of
do
wherever
magic
this
on them.
is.
Yeah.
Like, you don't have to
Yeah.
like keep them there.
No,
Like,
you
that's
definitely
what's
don't.
like baffling to me, because
Yeah.
at the start of the game you get the like it feels like the storyteller like says things like oh, like you're now part of the story. Like he like is like,
Yeah.
haha, like now I'm gonna like puppeteer you. And I
Hmm.
mean, obviously, like the game has to have them there, otherwise like
Yeah.
what are we doing here as the player?
Right.
But like it just felt like very not fully thought out. Like, I almost feel like they like designed this game based on like, yeah, like the vibes of like, oh, this would be cool if this happened. And then
Exactly.
it was like,
Totally.
oh shit, like now how would we actually
Well, now,
make
yeah.
this
How did
work?
that? Yeah. How did this happen? Yeah, it's
Or
tough.
it feels like almost like it was a game of telephone where like maybe this like because it was a crossover, maybe like they had too many cooks in the kitchen kind of thing in
It
terms
might
of like
be.
writing
Yeah,
the
I don't know.
story. Because usually I feel like the other ones feel like the main thread came from like one person. Like
Yeah.
every other Layton game, it's like, the first one is like find the golden apple. Then it's like find the diabolical box. So like,
Hmm.
you have other things. And like I guess this is kind of similar to Unwound Future because they're stuck somewhere else. But
Yeah.
Unwound Future starts off with like, I think, or
Yeah.
carries through the premise better.
Yeah. There's like a hook in all of them, and there's not.
Yeah.
I mean, the hook for all the Layton games is like pretty simple and compelling for the most part, I think, where this one is like somehow you got transported into a storybook. It's like, okay, I don't really get it.
Yeah.
And then, I don't know.
That's the other thing. I don't really get, like, I don't get how the storybook, like the getting pulled into a storybook part was like achieved with the magic.
Me neither do I.
Because like with Unknown Future, I mean, obviously
totally.
Full Outlandish said it's a giant like cavern under London.
Totally.
Like it's there.
Yeah.
But like the elevator being a closet, like that all like you're like
they do totally explain it. Yeah.
Perfect. Yeah, but this one just like nothing really makes sense. It was just like very, I don't know, very outlandish, which again is a bold claim for like a Layton fan because like Diabolical
there's
Box,
some
you
wild
gotta have
stuff.
one of the crazy endings. Like, but this one is just like a lot, and again, I think the pacing like plays too much into it because one of the like it's fun to solve the puzzles like in Layton games, but obviously like the biggest puzzle is like the main mystery that you get to solve, and the pacing is just too drawn out, and it's not just the length, but it's the fact that they don't remind you of what you're like what the purpose is, that you don't even feel like you can be really working along to solve the largest mystery because you're like, wait, what am I doing here?
Totally. In Diabolical Box, it is similarly like it's the same level of like wild, like I don't believe this, but there's still like scattered throughout. There's like clear intent to like we're getting towards that though. Like I remember a bunch of times where like Layton was looking at the photos in the area and it like it's like and you like, oh, what is that? And then you go back and like, remember that? There's nothing really in this game that's like that. Where it's like, see, remember the thing earlier? This is why. Or like a moment where you're walking and something happens that you don't understand and Luke doesn't understand, but Layton's like, oh.
Yeah, Layton's
like, what?
And you're like, what did you just realize?
There's nothing like that in this one, I feel like.
And I think one thing that maybe could have helped, because I don't think that they had this part of Layton Game Planet, I might be wrong, but I'm pretty sure, where, you know, they have it's sort of like a mini like puzzle telling thing where like usually Layton's like quizzing Luke or something about like like, and how did we get here? Like, what's going on right now? Like, just making sure you're up to speed, like in the casino in Unknown Future.
Or the
like,
puzzle battles.
Yeah,
no puzzle battles.
Puzzle battles. I fucking love the puzzle battles.
No puzzle battles here.
No. That, like, if they had something like that, because those, in the other games, I honestly think they're fun, but they're a little redundant because that's the part where I remember I'm like, oh, I'm playing a children's game, right?
Yeah.
Like, because I honestly think, I mean, you and I are older, both people who have gone to or in grad school, like we're pretty smart. Yeah. And so like, I don't think it should be like this hard for us to put together this game.
Totally.
But it really could have used some of those more like, you know, what I think are redundant kind of as in other games.
100%.
Damn, I didn't realize that they didn't have the puzzle battles until you mentioned that. I feel like those are so good.
Yeah, I know. It's a shame.
Yeah. What would you rank the ending / pacing, but mainly the ending?
Yeah, I gotta be careful. Ending for Ace Attorney, I think another C-.
Yeah.
It really, I think that's like even a little bit gracious. It's not, it doesn't tie things in very well thematically. It doesn't end on a big bang. Like the last case is not a good send off. So like, I don't know. It really forgoes like a lot of puzzles at the end. So it's like, instead of having a big finale with like, this is a really engaging, crazy mystery, it's like we're gonna just sit down and sort of talk to you for a while about what happened, and like that part isn't super engaging, so it's like, well, it's like
the longest cutscene.
I know, so I think it's not as good as it could have been, and I think it like is so close. If it just like, you know, maybe simplified it a little bit, maybe there was like a little bit less, and it just made that last mystery a little bit tighter and tied up some of the like the loose ends that like you're saying. I feel like there's 100 of them, and like you said, like in London, it's like, how the fuck was there statues that came to like
like what the fuck?
So I don't know, it's not my favorite.
I think a C- is definitely like gracious. It's also got to be the only Layton game that I never even for a second thought I would cry at. Like every
That's
other
so true.
Layton game, like
Yeah, that's true.
I can't even listen to like
Yeah.
the
Oh,
ending
me
song
too.
for
Iris
Diabolical
makes me
Box. I
die.
can't listen to it.
Yeah.
Same thing with
Yeah.
like I forget the name, but like the one and I don't know if you it's like do 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 do.
Yep. I
I
totally
can't
know
listen to
exactly
that.
what you're
Like
talking about. Yep.
I guess I guess to be fair, I don't think I cried at Curious Village, but there definitely is like Curious Village is like,
Yeah, I feel like I
it's
got
still
bummed. Yeah.
like the fact
I
that
mean,
she
it's
has like when
great.
she has to leave the village, like
Yeah,
I
it's
don't know,
super
like just
touching.
knowing that they're all
Yeah. There's
but
nothing
this
in that.
one,
Yeah, there's nothing.
and even
Definitely.
I guess the other one is, did you ever play Catriel's Mystery Journey?
I haven't finished it.
Yeah.
Oh. So I'm not counting
it
that one.
sucks
Yeah.
so bad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
But
what I've heard.
the anime for that show.
Is it good?
Or the anime for the show. The anime for the game. Yeah, it's on YouTube. I
Okay.
haven't I will be like reviewing it. I think I talked about it in like my really long Layton video. But that one has really like even that has like really very like Laytonesque sad episodes. That my biggest complaint with the game is that it chooses the worst and the weirdest episodes to adapt to cases.
Yeah.
Which I don't know. I'm like dreading making that video because
Yeah.
if people think I had nothing to say about like nothing nice to say about this game, like oh
Yeah,
my
good luck.
god,
Yeah,
that
yeah,
game
yeah.
is absolutely garbage.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, like I this one doesn't. There's nothing like I feel nothing emotionally.
Yeah.
To it. We need to talk about like why it's good and like why people like it, or like how it is just as like a crossover between these two like universes and fandom. I feel like this is a really good mesh of the characters.
I agree. Yep.
And I think that's why so many people love it. Is like it's real. I mean, you can't understate how cool it is to see like two of your favorite like franchises and universes together. Like people love crossovers like for that reason. Yeah. So I think that's like really good. And I think they did a pretty good job of like blending the atmosphere and blending the artwork. And
totally.
I mean, we talked about like the shortcomings of the gameplay, but even so, I feel like they did a good job. Like I feel like the only big flaw is like not like I think it just would have made a lot more sense and been better to have like investigation phases and have that be where you're solving puzzles. Like basically take a late or an Ace Attorney format and then just have the investigation phase be like Layton puzzle solving.
Yeah, totally. So I think if the mysteries for like the court cases were more focused in on, and like we got some crime scenes and like that was maybe done with or by Layton, and there was like some Layton like theming or whatever in there, like I think that would make the court cases stronger. We get more like true investigation like you're saying, and you know we could have some Layton. I don't know. I just think if we had some evidence before the cases and like got a little bit into the crimes beforehand, then we could have actual like substantive cases. Yeah. But I think generally, I think it is again, I've had mostly mean things to say, but I love it. I really, really love it. Yeah. Like if you are somebody who likes either or both, it is really fun. Yeah. And it's like nice to see them interact. I think the voice acting is fucking great, actually. I don't know how people feel about Phoenix and Maya's voice, but I think this is the first time, as far as I know, they've been voice acted. Yeah. Like up until that point. So there were some games after that they got voice acting in, and I don't like Phoenix's voice actor as much in Dual Destinies as I do in this one. I think it's really good, fits well. I think the music and like the way that they blend the music between the two series is really good. I think they already fit well together in like the puzzle solving, and seeing them interact is really good. I really like the parts where Phoenix hung out with Luke and Layton hung out with Maya. Like a lot of that stuff is like
really great.
It made me like so happy. Yeah.
Yeah. Because I think like what I said earlier, like this is kind of a case of like X plus Y is like going to equal Z. And so it doesn't really make sense then to go back. Like, I mean, we've been comparing them to each franchise because like I think that is like something that's like natural to do. Totally. But like this game really shines when you like think about it as like its own thing and as like its own format, which I can appreciate it. The one thing, this is another like minor point, I why is it called Layton versus Phoenix Wright?
Yeah,
There
I think
is only a minor part where they
right.
actually are like against each other, and
Yeah.
even that, he's not like they're not
No, he's not.
against each other in like
When
earnest.
Layton, yeah, I know. And Layton's like, I'm gonna get serious and like go against you. It's like, yeah, but you guys are on the same team.
That's
Like, you guys are. I don't know.
Because I thought, like, before I ever like played this game, I was like, oh my god, an epic showdown. Layton's gonna smoke this guy. Like, there's
True.
no
I mean,
way,
Phoenix
like,
is canonically stupid.
like, it's not gonna work.
Yeah.
But, like, I don't know why. I just think that that's like a bizarre move. And
Totally
same
agree.
thing with them. I think we talked about like the image of them pointing at each other is like so epic and
Totally.
amazing. But it does not like I feel like the cover and the title does not fit the game at all.
Totally agree. Yeah, I totally agree.
So, again, that's such like a minor point, but I'm just like, why?
I'm
is
thinking
it
about
called
like
that?
I guess so. In the very end, when Layton is a prosecutor technically, and he's like, and Phoenix is like, well, but like it doesn't feel very because like we're saying, it's like they're still they're on the same side, but like Layton's like technically she is a witch, and Phoenix is like no, she's not. So like, what are they arguing about? Like,
it feels like when Layton, again, it feels like those like moments when Layton is like quizzing Luke to try to like get him to grow. Like it has that same like mentor-y apprentice like vibe, which I really like because again, like Layton is like he's everybody's like dad, kind of not a good dad for a lot of things, but like that fits. But I'm just like, why would you title it that way? I thought this was gonna be like an epic showdown, but
I really would have liked to see them arguing.
How would you rank the game overall?
I think a B.
Yeah, I think I would say a B.
It is charming and I love it. And also I think it is like by a pretty wide margin the weakest Ace Attorney stuff I've ever played and the weakest Late stuff I've ever played.
Yeah.
But I still like it for reasons I don't fully understand.
It feels kind of, this is like so corny to say, but it feels like just like a love letter to the fans. You know what I mean?
No,
like,
I totally agree.
It feels like something.
It's for people who like either or both. Yeah, totally.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I think a B is like pretty solid. But yeah, so thank you for giving I'll call you an expert Ace. Your expert opinion.
Yeah, I don't know about expert. Yeah.
Sorry. Again, we both love this game, so
very much.
We're not just trying to shit on it, but I just wanted to give it the same treatment as all the other Layton videos, just for I don't know, uniformity.
Yeah, thank you for having me. I had a lot of fun.
Yeah. And also check out Phillip will be posting a video, another collab on his channel, so check that out.
Yeah.